Hey, happy Sunday, everybody. It's the 15th Comic Art Collector Conversation, and we've got a few new personalities on the show. Unfortunately, we were going to have Ryan Jablonski on this evening, but he did have a family emergency, and so we wish him well. And while I believe we're going to be off next week, maybe we'll have Ryan on in a few weeks. We'll check with him and see when he'll be free. But our thoughts are with him tonight, and we hope that everything worked out good where they were at this evening. So we've got James filling in for us tonight. That's he's got a little topic that he's kind of been thinking about. So we're gonna it's very small, but it's important. So he'll probably end up going last this evening. But you want to go first, don't you?
No. I'll go last. But I was going to say, Ryan. I don't know if you know Ryan. He's an awesome dude. A little bit of thoughts and prayers. But I think things are going to be okay. But I think your F-bomb quota just decreased significantly if you've never met Ryan. So
I've not.
You're going to get in front of the YouTube. YouTube censors are going to be okay.
Uh-oh. They're going to be bleeping us out and everything.
Maybe in a couple of weeks. I think we'll. Well, I got to watch out for Jason.
Well, we've had Jason's been on twice now, and he hasn't dropped an F-bomb yet. So at least that I know of. He might have muted himself once or twice.
No one's gotten me fired up yet, Bill. We'll see what Fish does tonight.
All right. So before we get everything started tonight, obviously, Matt, this is your first time on this show, and Jay, it's the same for you. So, Matt, if you could give us just a little bit of a short bio on your time in the hobby, and that would be good to let us get to know you a little bit before we get started.
Of course. Well, my name's Matt. I have been collecting comic art almost accidentally since high school. I went to the Pittsburgh Comic-Con, and I ran into Ron Friends was there having a table, and I happened to pick up a few pieces of his Superman work. And at first, I wasn't really even sure what it was. I just thought, well, this is neat. And kind of held on to it for a few years, and then I moved out to California, and that got me access to San Diego Comic-Con, and I started to go there and collect sketches, and eventually would get a commission here and there. But it really wasn't until about 2017 that I bumped into Felix Comic Art's crew, and a friend of mine told me once I got home, I bought some art from him, and he said, this guy has a podcast. And I went, really? And he said, yeah, you should check it out. And I did. And, that was the revelation. That was where I got into trouble in regards to just diving deep into the hobby. In fact, it was kind of funny. In 2017, I showed up to C2E2, and I had gotten a pre-show commission from Ramon Villalobos, and I went and I picked up my commission, and Felix was there, and I went, oh, Felix, it's so nice to meet you, and would you mind if I got a picture with you? Which made him laugh really, really hard, because I'm sure that was probably one of the last things he expected. And so I got my fan photo with him, and then I've listened to those episodes multiple times through, and that's kind of where I really jumped into the hobby, started buying published pages, and it's been a never-ending growing addiction since.
Well, Felix is a good place to start, but yeah, he is just like Tim said, he's a hell of a drug.
Yes, he's a gateway for a lot of us.
Yes, he is, without question. And so that's so cool. And you're going to be second tonight, by the way. I didn't give the orders and everything before we got started, other than letting Fish know he was going to go first. But Jay, you've been on the show before. You've been on Amateur Dueling Dealers, so everybody kind of knows you. But give us that brief bio on your time in the hobby and all that great art you have on the walls behind you.
Yeah, my new office is coming along a little bit. We're starting to get some stuff up. Real quick, guys, comic collector my whole life. Probably wish I bought art instead of 100 copies of X-Force 1 back in the early 90s. Probably would have been a lot smarter than me. Stopped collecting for a while, got back into it, and discovered original art when I wandered into Anthony Schneider's place. Picking up some comic books, right? And it's just been a snowball from there. And feet first, over my head now, and Fish is local. He's my buddy, so we enable each other a little bit. Going along. Big X-Men fan. Most of my art is X-Men centric, but I dabble other places. I actually bought my first stuff from Felix ever recently. I really like the show Invincible, right? So I never read the comic. It was when I wasn't collecting, and so I wanted some Invincible art. And it's just crazy from the show right now on the secondary. So Felix had a drop last month when he had those San Diego Con drops or whatever he was doing those drops for.
Right.
So I reached out to my buddy Bob McGann, and I was like, tell me the tricks. How do I get this art, from Felix's drop? Because I've heard how competitive they are, and I wound up picking up a couple pieces. I guess that's my first foray into Felix. Even after 4 years in this and earning a Kirby and a Jim Lee, there's still new things to experience.
Well, cool. Most people don't have success their first time out with Felix, so you did well.
Got to engage the expert. I think I pinged you to see if I could get a head start. So.
Yep, and there's nothing. You just have to keep refreshing. I'll tell you, that's the one time my servers actually start seeing a little bouncing around on the CPU is when Felix does an art drop, because so many people are hitting refresh over and over and over again. Well, so one day I should actually record, because there's a way to actually look at that live, the number of people who are hitting the pages. I should just record it one day. The next time Felix does an art drop, I'll do it, and then I'll post it so everybody can see what it looks like when people are just pounding the heck out of my server. So
it makes me think of that scene from National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where Clark Griswold's plugs in the Christmas lights, and you just see the electric meter just spinning off the chain.
Yeah, don't let
Bill like that.
He's got a direct connection to Felix's servers. That's got to be it.
No. Well,
I'm starting rumors and conspiracies in real time.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
I have never exercised any advantage over anything. As much as I'd like to every once in a while. I think about it. I was like, oh, somebody's gonna be dropping something, and he mentions an artist I might like to see. I don't even have time, but I think I might have looked one time. All right, I looked one time, and they hadn't even updated the admin yet, so I couldn't see anything. So and that was like 2 years ago, and I don't even remember what it was for. I don't even remember who it was for. But I went in and I was just curiosity. It might have even been Berkey. And I went in, and there was nothing there. It's like he knew what he was going to post, and then he didn't post it. So I think that one bit of discouragement has kept me away from ever trying to take a peek at something that might be coming. So there you go. I did it once. All right. So Fish, you get to start us off this evening.
So before I get to my topic, Bill, just as an aside, a lot of times, James, Jay, we've had discussions about whether these current prices in the art hobby are crazy or it's the new normal. And is it scary to buy something now? And this is not my topic, by the way. And to have the chance of maybe being the bag holder, being the last one holding the bag after you pay these crazy prices. And a response that I often hear from people is that for people getting into the hobby now, these prices aren't crazy. This is what they're used to. It's only crazy to people who've been in the hobby for a while and remember the old prices. So for someone getting into the hobby now, it doesn't sound so crazy to pay a few $1,000s for a piece of original art that some famous artist once held in their hand, and they spent hours drawing and they published it. So to hear Matt say that his first piece of art he ever bought was from Felix, and you're thinking, oh, Felix and Felix's prices, there you go. Matt's introduction was Felix, right? So for anyone else that got in, let's say this year, and his first piece of art was from Felix, that's just the price of art. That's what they're used to. Makes you feel a little bit more reassured about, spending these prices and being in this hobby.
Yeah, the sad thing is we talk about being the old guys or remember the prices. I've only been in the hobby 5 years. And I'm one of the old guys. That's sad on so many levels, and kind of just the new normal.
Well, Fish, I think also to your point of I've been thinking that as well. Just as I've been trying to update and upgrade my collection. I keep, one of the reasons I decided to do that now was I've seen what the prices are, and if I paraphrase this incorrectly, it's we want to pay today's prices to avoid tomorrow's prices. That's at least it's almost like you're trying to save money now for what might happen down the road, because it seems like that we're always asking that question about, when are the prices going to stop going up? But that question keeps getting asked because it keeps going up.
So that's a pretty good segue into my topic. Sorry, Bill, for this segue, and thanks, Rick, for the compliment in the shirt, Metallica. But my topic is something I guess that I've been dealing with recently and discussing with a lot of people because it was a big decision for me figuring out how to go about it. But there has been a page that I've wanted for years, and actually 3 years I've been trying to get it. I was there when this person originally bought the page for a lot, and I've been trying to get it, and obviously it's a lot more now. And it's way out of my price range, but I felt like I needed to have it, so I was trying to decide how to go about getting it. Reaching into my bank account and going totally irresponsible for me was something I really didn't want to do. I was willing to do a little bit, but not all the way. So I've been discussing with a lot of my friends, James, Jay, a lot of other people, and making calls. I spoke to Dino. I spoke to a lot of people. What's the best way for my current collection to raise the money for the new piece? So I have comics that are worth some good money I could sell, and I have art that's worth some money. And I was debating back and forth between the two, and I guess we'll get there in a minute. But part of my question to you guys is, what would you do? How do you go about raising money for a big piece? But besides that, I had a lot of people telling me, definitely don't sell the art. It's one of a kind. The comics are so many of them, even though there's so many more comic collectors. And I had a lot of people telling me, definitely don't sell the comics. The comics are like stocks. It's like reaching into your bank account. The comics, especially the silver keys, the graded silver keys, that's just money. That's just money on the shelf. It's a lot less risky than the art. If the art market collapses, only the primo pieces will be worth money. But the comics, those will always have the collectors. I've had people, telling me both ways. Most of the collectors, I actually ask this question. The first thing they say to me is, which art are you selling? Is this something I might be interested in? I mean, it's always the first response I get. But I actually went out with a friend a few weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago, and he's not a collector. He's totally outside this whole thing. He doesn't know anything about it. But he said something to me. He said to me, don't be that guy. Don't be the guy who buys a stock and it goes all the way up. And then instead of, selling some and taking some profits, just putting more money into the same stock, because if it doesn't go up further, you lose the new money you put in, plus you won't realize the profits you already spent. So he convinced me. And what I did was I ended up selling almost 40 pages, to be able to afford this one page. And I got there. I'm actually picking up the page this week. But it took a lot of selling. It's interesting. You think, is there any one page that's worth 40 pages? But it's what I wanted to do. But I guess someone said to me in one of my groups, he said to me, well, which one do you like more? Which one do you have more feeling for? Your comics you're thinking about selling or your art? And I said, definitely the art. Those 40 pages mean something to me. The comics are meaningless to me. If you sell a Hulk 181 9.6, if you really want a Hulk 181, you could always go back and buy a 3.0. The comics don't really mean much to me. The art means much to me. He goes, then you're not a real collector if you're selling the art. You should sell the comics. So it made me think about this topic. Does it make you any less of a collector to keep an eye on the investment side of things, on the money side of things? If I bought something for $1,000 5 years ago and it's worth $6,000 now, and I can get that 5,000 profits used towards a different piece, yes, I love that piece. On the other hand, are you going to put all your eggs in one basket? Are you going to keep putting more money into the art without taking any money out of the art? Especially if you have pieces that have already gone up in value that you love less, even though you still love. So I ended up selling art pages, and I had a hard time letting them go. I really didn't want to let them go, but once they were gone, I'm happy about it. I guess my question to you guys is, how do you raise money for a big piece? And assuming you're not just grabbing it right out of your bank account, which maybe some people have the luxury of doing. I did not. And do you feel like if you cash in on some art pieces, not ones you don't like, ones you do like, if that diminishes you as a collector in any way, or if that's part of the price of upgrading sometimes, or would you have sold the comics and would you have put all your eggs in one basket because that's where your love is? I don't know. I wanted your input on that. So Jay, why don't you go, Jay? You're Mr. I love the art. Go for it.
Well, it's funny. You and I have talked about this topic a little bit already, and what I'm going to say to the Cap world, wait till you see what he's getting. I can't wait for him to have it in hand and post it. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's worth everything he's done. So get that out of the way. But for me, I'm a relatively new collector, and like I said in my intro, I collected comics for a very long time. So I did liquidate a lot of comics to build the art collection I have now. That being said, I kind of went through and said, why do I own this? This isn't nostalgic to me. This is something I bought along the way, a character I didn't like, so on and so forth. So I did use a lot of comics to build the art collection I have. But I do understand what you're saying, Fish. We have gains in the art world. We should use those gains if we want to upgrade a piece. And I just did something similar to you, not on the scale of you, but a piece popped up. A friend of James actually was offering something that was in my wheelhouse, but it was a fair amount of money. And I wound up selling a few different pieces of art. Didn't feel great, like those pieces of art, love those pieces of art, but the one I'm getting, I love, that's going to go in one of these spots on the wall behind me. And I think the logic your friend gave you is really sound, right? You have X amount in art. If you can build and adjust your collection from that standpoint, why not? Say something costs $10,000. Well, it doesn't really cost $10,000 if you're selling three things that only cost you $3,000, right? So it's just the number sounds so inflated, but when you look at the gains of the pieces you're already doing, it shrinks it down and makes it more realistic. So I kind of I have done both ways, and it makes sense to me what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I think snowballing your collection is something that we all should try to do, right? I'm not of the means to walk in and buy a $30,000, $20,000 page. Even a $5,000 page is kind of not realistic, something I should be buying. But when you buy $100 pages and sell those for $250 each, and you can build that up and buy that $5,000 page, it makes a lot of sense. And it builds a great collection.
Hey, Matt, as you build your war chest, being that newer collector, grabbing those art pieces outside of traditional financial funds, what are you doing?
Well, this is very prescient. This year, before this year, I had never sold a piece of my comic art. The collection, I always bought. I bought art because I wanted it and because not as an investment purpose. But a Joe Quesada Daredevil Guardian Devil page became available in Comic Link earlier in this year, and it got me thinking of how much I really wanted an example from that run in particular. That was a run that was just in my comic DNA. And I said, okay, well, the only way that I can even think about doing this is I have to look at what was available and in my collection and see what I could sell. And at first I was like, I don't even know how to sell. I listed some things. I had I looked at things that I really liked, that I thought were really nice examples that I bought earlier. And I mean, I even I had the good fortune of I had a Tradmore Suicide Squad page from the unpublished story that came out, and I looked at that and I said, I love this. I absolutely love this page. But this Daredevil run, this means so much to me. This is how a friend and I we bonded so much over this story, over Kevin Smith's involvement. Kevin Smith's involvement helped foster my love with film and filmmaking, which me and my best friend got into. And then for a while I even lived in Los Angeles as I was pursuing this part of my career. And I said, I need a Joe Quesada Daredevil page. So I sold, I largely funded it by selling this amazing, wonderful Tradmore, Suicide Squad page. Now, thankfully, when I did sell it, I was actually able to bond with the person who I sold it to. And I just know that thankfully it went to a good home. It wasn't just like randomly, kind of sold or randomly kind of, flipped. And it's kind of funny. The Comic Link page was fantastic, but I started to just kind of think, and I was able to raise a little more money, and I was actually able to approach another collector, and I got an even stronger Joe Quesada Daredevil page. And like I said, it was something that, and once I was able to do that, it's kind of opened up a whole new element of the hobby by, looking at my collection and seeing what I love and seeing, my collection and my goal, I think more than anything when it started was I was still in that shotgun approach of just, oh, this is awesome, I want it. Oh, this is awesome, I want it. It's something I can afford. It's something I can afford. But this year, I've been trying to acquire pieces that I feel will be in my collection for, permanently, and trying to, like I said, represent me as a collector, represent me as a comic fan, because I could not dwell into my comics, because I love comics. I have so many comics. The thing is, I never really paid attention to the financial element. I never really kept them nice.
Yeah, a topic for a future discussion maybe is the 12 steps of a comic art collector.
Yeah.
Everyone's gone through the shotgun approach. Everyone's gone through the, not everyone, but the consolidation approach, the financial approach. My opinion, Fish, on it is there is no right answer, only hindsight, right? So a lot of it has to do with what your gut tells you, what your analytics, of course, will tell you. And the very nice thing, and no one knows how long it's going to last, but with the market being the market and the prices being the prices, it's hard to make too many bad decisions in a row. So,
well, I guess
sell what you like, sell.
Bill, before it disappears, can you highlight Dave Matheny's question? Maybe 10 comments up or 11 comments up. I think it's a great question.
Yeah, I saw that too.
So
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Jay. Go ahead. On topic of that question before it goes away, you go ahead first.
No, this is something that James and I have had conversations about before. I'll tell you right now, if I see a Spider-Man page that I think is a fair price or below market, I grab it all the time, purely for that, because I know it's always going to be a commodity in a trade, or be able to move quickly, or what if I need some. I'm not a big Spider-Man guy, but Spider-Man is the be and the all for a lot of people, and I think that's something you should do. You should look for opportunities like that.
I agree, Jason. Fitch, your turn.
I just think that the topic is a little bit off topic from what I meant. I actually think the conversation in the comments is more on topic of what I meant than we're discussing. I mean, you guys are kind of responding to selling a few pages to buy a different page, which I'm sure everyone in the hobby has done at some point. I'm specifically talking about selling something else that you don't love as much, but maybe is a more sure thing investment in the future, like a comic, which maybe it's not, by the way, but let's just say it is. If a comic is a more sure thing investment, I have comics on the side over here, stuff like this. This is, I don't have any love for this book. I just, it's money. I'm holding money in my hand. Or stocks. Let's say you have stock, you have Microsoft, you have IBM, whatever you have, it's like reaching the bank account. So you're saying, oh, sell the comic. The comic's not one of one. Buy what you love. Okay, but that's the same thing for me as just saying, I'll just take the money out of my bank account. If I felt that was irresponsible, selling the comic, which I feel is a more sure thing in the future, is also irresponsible, which is why I ended up selling the art to buy more art. So basically, if a new art piece I got goes up in value, well, that's fine. My old pieces would have gone up in value, but I have no regrets because my new one went up in value. And if a new one goes down in value, that's fine, because the old ones also would have gone down in value, most probably. Obviously, each art piece is a little bit different, but the point is, I think I took the safe path, not necessarily the path I wanted to take, because I didn't want to take the irresponsible path. For me, there's no difference between selling a valuable comic and reaching into my bank account. And I guess that was more my topic, keeping my eye on the investment side of things. Not that I'm an investor, but just to be careful not to put all my eggs in one basket. That's
Well, and I know the topics grow organically, but I mean, the way my approach always been, I don't try to min-max my life. Just to try to analyze every single decision. If you want to, again, look back at, 3 to 5 years, track your stocks, track your art purchases, do some analysis, or even look back proactively on, comics you've sold in the past, art you've gathered and sold in the past. I bet you can go down and do that analysis. Name me, you're giving up something, sure, but to grab something that is creating an emotional response. So there is that additional personal value, as Nino used to say on another topic, associated with it that you can't buy with stocks, or you can't have with stocks, or you can't have with comics unless you can, but not me as an art collector. So are you cashing a little bit for, kind of some emotional gain outside of pure financial gain? I would say absolutely. Now you're talking to a bunch of art collectors on an art collecting topic, so we're all going to, of course, lean toward, buy that pretty piece and put it on your wall.
But there's a lot of crossover. There's a lot of comic collectors here too. You know?
Fish, I'll say it like this: FF48, you took out that everybody's saying is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
There was a warehouse find of those books. There's way more near mint copies of FF48 than a lot of other Silver Age keys. So I think that comics may not be as stable as an investment as you're saying. Right now, today they are. I sold an AF15 back 6 months ago or so to get some art, and I don't regret it at all because the art has gone up just as much as the AF15. But I felt the market was very strong for what I paid, and it was time to move it. And I have no regrets looking back on it.
Good.
If we could all cash out on peaks, man, we'd all be pretty well off.
Yeah.
No,
It doesn't usually work that way, though.
I wish.
But no, I get it, Fish. I mean, the one thing I was, and I know, this is kind of off topic in its own way, but when you had to pick those 40 pieces, did you regret selling any of those 40 pieces for that?
still fresh. I've sold them in the
Yeah.
last like 3 or 4 weeks, so I don't know if I'll regret in the future, but I don't think so. I really, you could ask Jay and James in one of our groups. I'm whining and whining nonstop. I don't want to get rid of these pieces. I sound like a baby, but once in my mind, I make a decision. It's like breaking up with someone. It's tough, but once you decide you're just doing it, that's it. You flip a switch. I don't want them back. I gave some of them to a dealer to sell for me, and he still has a couple. I'm like, I don't want them back. Sell them for lower. Like once I get to that part where I'm saying goodbye to this piece, I divorce it. So I don't have any regrets yet, and I don't think I will. Honestly, I didn't set out to be an art collector. I don't know how many of you started collecting saying, I'm going to be an art collector. No, you set out saying, wow, this is wonderful. Let me buy one I love. And then you blink your eyes and you have 200 you love. Now, do you really want 200? Right. I think I'd appreciate them more if I had 40, So to trade a bunch that I liked for one that I love, I think will serve me well as a collector in the future. I think that's more what I was after from the get-go years ago. I lost my way a little bit, but I'm happy. And the comics, I don't have love for them. And I understand that people say, oh, buy what you love. But again, I look at them like my 401k. I don't have a 401k. I work for myself. I look at them like my stocks. That's just, I know they're not super stable. I know comics could crash like art could crash. But the amount of comic collectors versus art collectors is 1,000,000 times, or 100,000 times. I feel like it's a more stable market. Again, I might be wrong about that. I was just trying to get the general sense from everybody.
Sure. And I wanted to circle back on a couple of things that actually came up in the topic too. First, Jason mentioned a little bit from the trade side, or having, bullets in the gun for future trades or future sales. There was a question in a Facebook original comic art collectors that asked how many pieces that you have. And my answer has always fluctuated between 75 and 95, because what I'll typically do, like where my collection is right now, is if I wanted to trade up for an art, I don't have the pieces that I'm willing to give up to trade unless it's something truly absolutely spectacular. So going out and finding a few pieces that you think are solid values with kind of the intention of either trade bait or sell bait in the future, just so you can keep that collection to the core and not feel bad about giving away those pieces. I mean, that's a solid strategy that some people employ.
Trading is a whole other aspect of the hobby I have yet to dip my toe in. To
stay away from these guys.
To fully explore. So I unfortunately don't have too much to add in that respect. As I've been evolving as trying to sell some of my artwork, I am starting to reach that point of low inventory of the pieces that I was a little easier to let go of, and thankfully I've been able to acquire some things that have been really really special, and so it's a good problem to have, but it's also, oh man, I'm running out of ammunition. So
one of the things, James, that we were discussing today in one of the groups is your new kick about changing your CAF pages to have both the art page plus the comic, right, in one image. And you were talking about how many hours it will take you to.
Let me credit Dino for that too.
Okay, so Dino's thing. But the point is, one of the things as collectors, when you realize that you can't keep buying at the pace you've been buying, is to find other ways to keep yourself busy in the hobby. It takes a little bit of the pressure off the money part of things. You still have fun in the hobby. Honestly, part of what helped me decide to sell pages to buy a page, because comics would have been so much easier. I could go onto the comic site. Comics are worth X amount. The last 5, FF48 9.0 sold for this amount. That's what you're going to get. You post it, you take a couple $100 less for a quick sale, and done. That's easy. Art's a much tougher sell, right? You got to find the right buyer. Part of what why I decided this, I said to myself, is if I decide to sell the art pages, I'm going to be busy for the next few weeks wheeling and dealing, and that's a way to keep myself busy and happy in the hobby. It's a challenge for me, just like the challenge you're doing now with revamping all your pages. So I thought that was also part of it. It's fun to find a way to keep yourself busy in the hobby outside of just buying another page, right?
Have you seen what Michaela's doing with transparencies?
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I saw.
Dude's an
Yeah,
artist.
Oh, yeah.
very, very cool.
So, thanks.
Mikhail is never dull in the hobby. I don't think he's always doing something interesting and unique, and the thing is, it really is cool to watch. He likes like showing off how he packages artwork to, and the science he put into all that, and then along with the way he's working on those transparencies is pretty cool.
I mean, the art's worth so much money nowadays. If you're new to the hobby, it's worth a lot. You spent a lot. But if you're even a few years old, you didn't spend nearly as much as it's worth, most of the art. It's just, I don't know. Like, again, someone said in the chat, when has art ever gone down? True. It's been going up like crazy and it hasn't gone down. But, you could look at the stock market the same way and say, I'll never sell my stocks. When has stocks ever gone down? I mean, usually things have an up and a down. So maybe to me, it's a little irresponsible to just keep everything that's gone up and keep buying more. If it does go down, you might say, oh, I don't care. I love what I have. On the other hand, if there was real money, I'm not talking about, $800. If there's real money in your collection, to not capitalize at all on the fact that it's gone up, especially as you're buying new expensive pieces, it's risky. You're gambling, which if you like to gamble, go for it. But there's definitely a gamble there.
Not to be flip it, sorry, but my prediction is you get that piece on your wall, you walk into your room, and all that goes away for you. You're like, yeah, I did the right thing.
I'm excited.
I did the right thing. You did the right thing, Fish. And even if you didn't, you did the right thing.
Thanks.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing whatever this artwork is.
Bill, you ever sell any of your art, or you keep it all?
Oh no, I mean, I sold all of my good artwork way back when I built that miniature golf course. That's my worst story ever. So, and I think about what it's. I sold 5 John Byrne X-Men pages. So, and at the time, for around $5K a piece, I thought I was doing all right. Yeah, look at it now. So sure, I've got a lot of regrets,
but look, the golf course kept you busy all these years, and then this is your life. This is your life, and then one day, we're all gone, and that was our life. So it's good. You invested in your time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't have any regrets. I've actually, I got a lot out of doing that, and I feel like I've done a really good thing locally. It didn't help my art collection, but I got so many other great things that happened in my life because of doing that. I mean, I regret the loss of the art and the funds and everything, but
I wonder how much it drove.
You can't change those things. What's that?
I wonder how much it drove the calf story, though. Just your experience golf course.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in a way, yeah, that's definitely part of it. Certainly. I mean, everybody has that where those points in their life where, as a collector, where they've sold a lot of things that they probably didn't want to, for all the wrong reasons, and it just, it's just part of the cycle. And I just happen to have a high-profile one. So, at any rate, but a very good topic, Fish. I'm sorry we did kind of move around on it.
All
we
good.
didn't stick to it very closely, but I get your point. And for me, it's hard to really look at it just because I don't have a very large, I don't have any assets outside of the mini golf really that I can look at and say I don't have comics to sell. So for me, I can't really think about those other things. I mean, like you, I've been self-employed for a very long time. I don't have a 401k. So I do think about a lot about all my purchases and where I'm going to draw the funds from when I'm going for almost everything I make. I scrutinize them a lot. But unfortunately, really, art is about the only thing I have that's an asset that I could really change and use for a big purchase if I wanted to. All right. So again, good topic. So Jason, though, you're going to lead us off with some art before we talk up to Matt about his topic this evening. So I hope you're prepared for that. Let's get your first artwork on the screen.
Well,
I'm sorry. I didn't.
James wasn't supposed to be on this show when I picked the art, so I just want to say that to start. I picked this piece. Obviously, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's Art Adams. It's a double wraparound cover of the Guardians of the Galaxy versus Thanos, so on and so forth. But the reason I picked this cover and wanted to talk about it is Art Adams in general, right? Like today, there are so many cover artists out there. If you really go back and look, Art Adams is like the first cover artist, right? he became a cover artist because he couldn't keep up with the monthly comic. And that's what he's been doing for 35 years, is just pounding out these amazing, absolutely stunning covers. And this cover right here kind of gives you a taste of everything Art Adams does well, right? Monsters. He's probably, other than Kirby, I can't think of someone who draws a monster like that. And that Groot is like a classic Kirby monster, which Groot actually was. You have the tough guys, you have Drax, you have the beautiful woman with Gamora up top, you have a massive villain, and just the starscape behind it. The detail is just absolutely stunning. And the fact that Adams has been pushing out quality like this for 35 years is amazing. I remember as a small child, though, he did the X-Men annuals every year, right? He couldn't do a monthly book, so he did the annual every year, and I looked forward to that annual in, my 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever years those were, every year for his art. And this piece is just a stunning example of it. A gem among other gems. That's the best thing I can say.
Hard to argue with you on that one. This was one of my favorite pieces that went up on the site lately, even though I didn't tell you that, James, but now I can because you're here with us.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, this wasn't planned. Again, I'm prompt to you guys, but I don't mind flexing. It's all good. And I'll say this. My very, very good friend of mine in the art world, RS88 Ryan Sherwood, grabbed this. I loved it from day one. It was absolutely fantastic. Of course, Ryan now is Lobo Man. So, he's definitely stepped up his game in certain aspects. And after months of conversation, I still don't know why, but he agreed, to let me be the next caretaker. And it took some effort, took some sales on my end that kind of hurt, but that's all good. And it's on the wall behind me. So there you go.
That negative space hand right in the center is just the most awesome thing. It draws the eye right to the center. It's just beautiful. Love it.
Wow, I went silent because it just knocked me speechless.
Well, congratulations, James. And so this is your second piece, Jason.
And this one, this was purely from my jealousy. This is a piece I would love to own in my own collection. Mark Brooks is amazing here, redoing a classic in one of the most important pages in X-Men history, right? If you aren't familiar with this book that this came from, Marvel did a fantastic job last year putting out, instead of just doing a giant size X-Men reprint or something, they had each page done by an individual artist. And it was such a unique way to do a tribute book, tell a story that's loved, tell an important historic story, and for the anniversary, but have all these unique talents take a stab at individual pages. And this is one that I was not able to get, and I would love to have been able to. But Brooks just really captures the essence of the entire team here, the new X-Men, and redoes this page flawlessly. Mm-hmm. And if you're not familiar with the original, he changed up a couple things, and that's what I really liked about these pages. Is although they were redone, they were not done specifically exactly, right? Like in the original version, Colossus isn't armored up, but Brooks went and made him armored up. And those small tweaks for A Story of Love was just a fantastic thing. And this painting is probably, Alex Ross did one of the pages in this, and I would take this Brooks painting over the Ross page that he did. How awesome.
It's amazing. Nice.
Hey, Fish, the chat wants to know, did Brooks knock out the proportions of that thigh gap on Storm?
I think Colossus has the real thigh gap there.
There you go. Those are steel thighs, dude. You can't help that. Don't flex.
Beautiful page.
Gorgeous, man.
Yep. And it is in Anker's collection, Indu, in the chat. So that was the Met. That was heard by all.
He's just holding it. He knows he's just holding it from me.
I remember when he posted it, and you said immediately that was the page that you wanted. So, I remember when that went up there. So I get it. It's a beautiful page. I have never owned anything by Brooks, so when I saw that too, I thought that'd be one to have if you could get it. congratulations to Ankur.
The price just doubled, Jay.
Find some mackerel.
Don't you hate that? Yeah, I'll tell you, just before we segue into Matt's topic, I feel bad sometimes. Like when I'm on the selling shows, or like when I did the show with Mike the other day, every time I would pull something up and I'd be like, oh, that's a great page. And then I hand it to Mike and I feel like, oh, I shouldn't say anything. I just shouldn't even talk about it, because I feel like talking about it is like trying to say that I think it's worth something or whatever. But more than anything, I didn't want to hand him a couple of the pages. It's like, wow, that should be going over in my stack.
You need to throw him for a loop and say, this one's just terrible. What the hell are you doing, like live on the show? Let's just throw that one to the side.
Yeah, maybe the next time we do it, I'll come up with something. But we can talk a little bit more about that later. But Matt, let's get you started on your topic today.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about updating your calf. Comic art fans is become a really integral part of like my social my social life, my social experience, and my social part of the hobby. And I know I'm not the only one. And I said everything that you've done in the past, from the beginning, Bill, has just been wonderful, as you've created and just made this community and this hobby such a better place and a more connected place.
Thank you.
So, I know that there is an ego component of getting views and comments and likes, but there's also like, you want to maximize your calf, as not everyone can post a Frank Miller, not everyone can post a Jack Kirby. And I just want to ask what you guys think as to like, what's the best way to like maximize your calf in regards to like, getting people to look at it, getting people to interact with it? Is there a best time to post, weekend or weekday or morning or evening, or doing one piece or several pieces? I just, I know everyone, and that's the wonderful thing about it. It can customize, their gallery. And I just want to hear from other collectors as to how they feel that they can maximize it so that they can get maximum interactions and, which can lead to friendship and connections and everything.
Sure, man.
Well, I was going to say, I get asked this question once a month. When's the best time to post art to calf? And the thing is, there's no secret sauce. So I know that a lot of people have their own approach to it, but the site in general is pretty much steady on traffic. It's busiest between, if you're looking at a time point when there's the most people on the server, it's usually between noon and say 6 p.m. If you can believe that. You think it'd be in the evening, but it's not. It's actually, and I'd say probably more like 1 to 6 is like the peak time. And so just the number of eyeballs is that, but again, I get asked this question once a month and I don't have an answer. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say, what your approaches are, because I would think social media's got to be a big part of it. Posting to calf, there's got to be other components if you want to get more eyeballs back to calf and into your calf gallery.
Yeah, I would say if you want, well, it seems pretty simple, and I've got other things as far as like visuals and stuff that I can talk to. But if you want to generate views to your calf page and have the community interact with you on your calf page, then go out there and interact with the community. Do your views, do your likes, do your comments, jump on social media. If you're outgoing and you're part of that community, and you drop hints on the pages that you post, or I'm not saying spam everyone every time you do it, but start interacting that way. Be someone people want to be sociable with, and that'll start driving views to yours. Like I recently posted, hey, I love it, but I understand it's a 90s drag page. Some Guardians of the Galaxy that I picked up randomly on C-Link for a few $100 that it's big splashy 90 big hair, and I kind of posted it. I enjoy it semi-embarrassedly. I was actually surprised by the interaction the page got, sort of. But also I know I'm kind of involved, and I'm not saying earn that interaction, but it's just from being part of that community. So that's kind of my first piece of advice, and I've got others, but I'll open up to Fish and Jay first.
I just post randomly on CAF. I don't like writing book reports. I don't like rating I feel bad. I don't do my art justice. I just write silly little things underneath it usually. So when I'm in the mood, when I'm motivated, I'll post 5 things in one night, which I know is not the best way to get each of them their own attention, but it doesn't really bother me so much. I don't know. I mean, if you really want to have that dopamine hit of getting those likes, you could post it on CAF. You could post it on Facebook. You could show your buddies in the groups. There's just don't show your wife because she doesn't give a damn. But there's. By the way, whenever I tell my wife about any page I'm getting, there's this blank look that goes over her eyes. Just Like I know she's just doing her best to be a good wife, but like, whatever. Anyways, but yeah, I don't really plan out when I post things on CAF. I do. I'm not saying I don't like the likes and the comments. I enjoy them very much, but I never strategized. I saw your topic, Matt, in the spreadsheet beforehand, and I was like, oh, I wonder what people are going to say because I never thought about this. Jay, what do you think?
Well, I have actually thought about this, and it's funny because I only post one page at a time. I rarely post more than one page at a time. And I was joking with James one day. I sent him a screenshot. I have a folder in my phone of to be posted art, right? Because I had a backup that I was only posting one page at a time. So I had all these photos to keep track of what was posted and was not. I started its own folder. I usually post one page at a time, and I try to do it in the afternoon. Bill, it's funny that you say those hours, but that's usually when I shoot to post something is, afternoon. One thing I will say, and this came from, some of you guys know Nick Katradis. Bill, I know you know him. He's a camera shy guy, so we can't really get him on, but he's a real serious collector, and he's a serious CAF guy. And he told me when I first started collecting, he's local and I know him in person. He said, Jay, you love the art. When you post it, make sure you have time to do the write-up, to tell people why you love a page. And like Fish said about book reports, I always take that to heart. Like if I got to rush and post something and don't have the time to talk about the page or give it a little bit of life, I wait till the next day when I do have the time to do it. Because going back to edit, I always say I'm going to go back and edit, or I'm going to edit this image, or I'm going to, change it to add the published page and other images. It's a lot less times that I go back to do the things that I want to do. So I try to do it the right way the first time and try to tell someone, why I love the page. And, Ruben, I always remember Ruben posted a Milgram Hulk cover, right? It's like Hulk, Sasquatch, Wendigo, or the 3 of them together on the cover. I don't remember the number, but his write-up was just amazing. And that made me want to make it. I didn't have time to put a comment, but I made sure I put a comment from the write-up, not even from. That's the best advice.
And that kind of goes back to what you were saying, Fish, regarding when I was changing my gallery for the pictures, to do the original art and the published together, on finding ways to get involved or expand your interaction within CAF or within the hobby without having to overlay those dollars out. So some people do the majority of the write-ups. I think, one of the easiest not the easiest, the fastest ways, of course, is just flex with giant art drops, right? And then you get attention that way.
I did that.
Yeah.
You saw that.
I
posted like 30 pieces of art in a 2-day period, right? Because I had time. So that's one way to do it.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm saying I'm a book report writer. I write why this page means what it means to me, what the character means to me. I maybe go into too much detail, but that's part of the fun. And I really enjoy the writing, and even kind of, and like I said, I know that Jay, we're kindred spirits, because I had bought several pieces and I was like, well, I'm gonna I had to have a folder of to be posted, and like last week I posted 3 pieces one day, and I tried to even make it like a theme. Like Friday was all the Batman pieces I posted as well. And that's even, like I said, you were saying that, Bill, that noon to, 6 is some of the most busiest times. And I sometimes try to say, well, do I post from, I try to maybe post it around, 9-ish, 9:10-ish, because I'm like, well, not as much stuff is posted there. So that might keep it in the in the new art front page a little longer, so that might get some more people to look at it. And again, it's not so much about the ego of the views, but when people comment, then I go and I look on their gallery, and I've discovered some really great art through that interaction as well. And I try to interact with as many other collectors as I can, just because it's just so much fun.
This is behind the scenes, Bill.
Right. Yeah. This is just some Google Analytics to show you the peak times, and it's probably like Mikhail suggested in the chat. It's like when people get to work. So there you can see 11 a.m., 12. So it's really that, like I mentioned, 11 to 6, noon to 6. I mean, that's consistent pretty much every single day of the week. That first peak is right around 11 every single day. CAF is like clockwork. I mean, it's like if I were to show you a year, everything is as consistent as possible. It's like, I can't say it grows, but it just, but everything is very rhythmic. I can pretty much guarantee I'll always fall within a certain number of page views in a day, and the same, sort of number of users in a day. So
everyone posts at 10:50 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every day.
That's when the most eyeballs are there, and it probably is true too. You think about it. That's when a lot of the want list emails or your keyword alert emails are going to start coming out at 11 and 12 o'clock, and that's when people are, again, they're at work, they're getting those alerts, and they're going into CAF and checking out what was posted. So that probably does play a big part of it.
I think so. I would say one thing I was going to touch on earlier is especially if you're, I'm not saying new collector, but I mean, if you're not dropping, Jim Lee X-Men splashes every day, you want to get a little bit of attention to your CAF gallery, figure out a way to make it unique. There's not too much customization that can be done, but there is customization that can be done.
Yeah.
There's some people out there that have done phenomenal things with banners. If you have some type of intro paragraph that's not too long, but semi-interesting to grab attention, just the small things. If you want to build a small commercial for your CAF, that's something that you want to invest the time to do to try to drive more views. When you curate your gallery, see if you can make it visually appealing. When they, some people have done, some type of gifts that transition in and out. I mean, there's little ways to help differentiate yourself. CAF is pretty homogenous all around, but there are ways to kind of move things left and right to make things a little bit more visually appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, totally.
I was just going to bring up Fish's question to Marcus. Is way is way pronounced in a way that rhymes with thigh or what?
Is it Y or way?
I always thought it was way, but it could be Y. He didn't reply, right? I was trying to go through and see, did Marcus actually say anything to that? He did not. But thank you, Fish.
Way.
I do appreciate that.
He did reply, way. Okay.
All right.
Oh man, there's one right there. You want to make your gallery great? Look at Ron Lim. Get a 11x17 scanner. To me, that's a go-to investment, man. Don't use cam scan on your phone unless the piece is extra big.
Yeah, I mean, that's true too. I mean, I do think that the better the scans are, you do have people spending a lot more time looking at it, and then they're more apt to comment on it. Mm-hmm. I'm always disappointed when I'm doing the CAF updates and I see a great piece of art and as the thumbnail, and so I go over to it because I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to add this to the CAF update, and then it's I hate to say it's like a non-premium member, and the scan's only 800 pixels tall, and it's not crisp. Because just by the size of what I have to show here on the screen, I really need a larger image to work with if I'm going to put it in the CAF update. So it has to be really spectacular for me to want to also then try to share a smaller piece of art. So yeah, I mean, I would, I always wish people would post the largest art that they can, whether premium or not. Some people don't even scan it at the 800 pixel tall. That is the biggest a non-premium member can have. So yeah. It's surprising.
And that's, I mean, you mentioned it really briefly, but yeah, I didn't realize until I became a premium member that the art between the two groupings, you do get a more resolution, larger size, and be able to showcase it a lot better for a premium member.
Right. Well, it's 2,000 tall. Yeah.
Once it became premium, I did a lot of rescanning of art to get some better quality images because. Yeah, I definitely started to see a difference in some of the original images I posted before I became premium. So, which
All right.
premium.
Yeah, to answer your question, Harry, it's 2,000 pixels tall. So you can scan something at a really high DPI, and it's 6,000 pixels tall. It won't matter. We'll still resize it to 2,000 tall as a premium member, because 2,000 is pretty gigantic already. But non-premium members get it resized to 800, and sometimes in the process of having to take something that's a 40 meg scan that you have and try to take it down to 2 meg. It can get a little fuzzy. So it's actually, Ron Lim's, where he said he scans at 1,900 or 1,500 pixels tall. It's actually a good approach, because then I never resize it and the scan never gets touched by anything, and it literally goes up the exact way you scanned it. So if you want your best scan ever on CAF and your premium member, scan it at 2,000 pixels tall, or at least resize it before you upload it, and it will always be amazing. That would be my advice on doing that.
With the popularity of What If, Fish, if you want to drive some more views to your site, put watcher and address as your banner.
Bill actually featured it in the newsletter a couple of weeks ago.
That's right.
Yes.
What if the watcher? Anyway, we'll let that trail off.
Well, thank you everyone for providing your perspective and your views on this. This is something that, like I said, it's because it's such a social aspect of me, or for me, it's something that I'm just always just curious about, just because, like I said, I've made some really cool connections on CAF, and like I said, it's such a fun hobby to talk about and interact with. So I'm always want to do what I can to keep that going.
Sure. And also, if you guys want to be on Collector Conversations or be interviewed with Bill, he always posts CAF galleries. That's a easy way to generate some more views.
That is very true. Well, as we know, I mean, every time I interview somebody, that next 24 hours they get a lot of comments and people going into their CAF gallery. So yeah, and I've got nobody to interview on Tuesday now, since Josh put the kibosh on my my watch party for the featured auction on Tuesday. I didn't ask permission when I said I was going to do it, and then I just decided, hey, I should probably ask Josh about that before we do it. And he said he loved it. He thought the focused one was great, but he just was hesitant about wanting to do it with one of his featured auction. He has no problem with us talking about it after the show. Gotcha. In a recap of some kind, but not live. So now I've got nothing to do on Tuesday. It'll be my first Tuesday off in I think 16 months.
Mini golf.
You volunteer.
I'll take the family mini golfing. Yeah.
Set up the bootleg one we were talking about. Let's get it going.
All right. Let's see. So Fish, you actually are going to show us some artwork now. So let me get your art on the screen. Thank you, Matt, for that topic.
Of course. Thank you.
And here is the first artwork.
Okay, so I guess going all the way back to the first time I was on the show, and I think Chris was on the show with me, and he was an expert in art. So I really realized, I knew beforehand, I'm no expert in art. So when I look for pieces to put for you to feature, I really just look for conversations to be had. I'm kind of cheating. Instead of just one topic, I'm grabbing another topic over here. There was a guy on Reddit a few years ago who got a lot of popularity. It was like a very upvoted post on Reddit. It was seen by 1 million people or so. He used to go to thrift stores and buy these $10 plain paintings, and then he would add something fantastic into it, like a spaceship or like a dragon. Like he'd take these regular landscape scenes and add something a little bit crazy, an Ewok, something. So obviously this is Barry Windsor Smith, and it's beautiful, and it's Weapon X, and it's probably worth a ton of money, and it's beautiful. Nothing bad to say about this. It's gorgeous. My question is this, and it's kind of like, again, turning this into a topic a little bit. If you take Wolverine, if you take Weapon X out of this picture and we replace it with a deer, or replace it with a regular guy walking with like a hunter's cap and a rifle over his shoulder, would any of us look twice at this if it were $15 in a thrift shop? Would you even think about buying this, picture of trees with a guy or a deer in it? Would we say, oh my gosh, those trees are fantastic, what amazing art? But we put hairy little Wolverine in there instead, and we're like, wow, Barry the master, he's fantastic. It's just funny to me when I see a landscape and I see, listen, I'd love to own this piece. Obviously a lot of people pay a lot of money for it. I'm not denigrating the piece at all. It's just when I saw this, I said to myself, it's funny what we call amazing art versus one little change in what we wouldn't even look twice at. We're funny collectors, that's all. We're funny collectors.
I mean, you didn't let me jump in there. I mean, you got some deer art you're selling? I mean, I'm in Oklahoma. That's part of our.
But it's
culture.
beautiful. I mean, listen, you look at this and it evokes all these feelings in you. When you from the '90s, the '80s, when you read Weapon X, and we're nostalgia collectors, and the people who say we spend thousands because we're art collectors. Maybe I guess there's different groups or different camps, but I think if you're really an art collector, I don't know. It's just tough to say what makes this piece different from that piece.
Yeah, well, it's I mean, the medium, the thing that's differentiates comic art, in my view, is it's directly tied to the story. This isn't just a standalone piece of art. This is a piece of art that was part of 23 other pieces of art, plus dialogue, plus a situation, plus an arc. So it's you're not just buying it because of the trees and the little.
So you're agreeing with me. You're making my point. We're buying it because of the story and the nostalgia, not necessarily because of the art.
And the story, nostalgia, but feeling, emotion, how it's part of it. Not just the pixel or the dots and the ink that are on the page. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's just it's a piece of a process versus like an independent piece of art that's just drawn like seashells and landscaping or something like that.
Okay, but James, the truth is, if that had a deer instead of Wolverine, and you were in a store, you wouldn't think of buying it for $20.
Well, I mean, was that deer like a story of Bambi that I grew up with as a kid?
You get my point. My point is, it's beautiful. I'd love to own it. I'd love to put it on my wall. I love it. Again, whoever's gallery this is in, I should know, I guess. But it's gorgeous. Congratulations. But I just saw it, and again, it elicits emotions. Like Fred said, it's an emotional thing. It's not so much an art thing. Yep.
I think you're eliminating a big chunk of the process, though.
Go ahead, Jay.
Berkey was selling $1,500 Bernie Wrightson peppers yesterday on his art drop.
Peppers?
So I think they were pods or something, right, Bill? I don't know what they were.
Yeah, it was like it was weird.
So I think that yes, what you're saying, but I think you, like somebody said in the comments, if that was a deer and a Wolverine and it still was BWS, I think it would still get our attention. So I think there are times that the art is important no matter the subject. And I think the subject is important some of the time no matter the art. And I think it's the unison of both that makes us most happy, like this page.
It's beautiful. I love it. And again, someone said in the comments, I'm a cynic. I'm definitely a cynic. I'm guilty. But I'm a cynic who also puts my money where my mouth is. I buy a lot of art. I love the art. I love this page. I'm looking at it right now. I'm not looking at the camera. I'm looking at the art on my screen. It's gorgeous. All I'm saying is it's beautiful because it makes me feel a certain way. And I don't think that's even 50% the art. I think it's like 90% the nostalgia. That's how I am, at least,
Sure. Absolutely. And then I think one of the natures of art in general, and I'm not going to philosophically win on art, but how it uniquely creates emotions or thought process.
Good one, Bill.
This is on my wall right there. So I just had to show you. So I would look twice if it was
beautiful, Bill.
Yeah, Rachel Quinlan. She's a fantastic artist. I've got a couple things on the back wall from her, but a deer. I saw it and I had to have it.
Is re-releasing a Weapon X? They said. I remember reading in the solicitation that they went back to some of the original art, and I'm not sure whenever they were announcing it. Does it mean that they're doing kind of an artist edition, or does it mean it's just we're reprinting it and we just got better scans for the just regular comic? I was just seeing that Weapon X got me thinking about more Weapon X. So
I'm not sure. I know that Scott Dunbier is always after different creators. I mean, I know right now he's after McFarlane art, so I'm not sure what he's got cooking there, but they're always working on multiple artist edition books at one time, so it's quite possible.
Yeah.
And if we have a second artwork here, Fish, let me get that one on the screen for you too.
Okay, so this goes to the same point. This piece is everyone's looking at this is like, what? Some fighter pilot? What's going on over here? So, it's Dave Aikens, and, I have a Dave Aikens in my gallery also. You don't have to go look, don't worry. It's just, it's a Hela, whatever you pronounce her name. And I saw it, and someone was selling it in a non-art group for $100, and I bought it, and I love it. It's on my wall. And I posted it in one of my groups the other day, not this one, but the one I own. And I said to the people, what's the difference skill-wise between Dave Aikens, who sells for $100, and I don't know, these guys who sell for $1,000 or $10,000. I mean, this is beautiful. I look at this, and as a non-artist and non-art critic, I guess I'm a critic, but no technical knowledge. This is gorgeous. This is as pretty as anything I've seen. It doesn't evoke any feelings in me, this particular picture, so I don't want this picture. It's not anything from my childhood. But like, what makes one artist worth $100 and one worth $10,000? So I guess I'm making the same point. Look at the reflection off of his glasses on top. His aviator glasses. You can see the light reflecting. If this, instead of saying Dave Aiken, said Barry Windsor Smith, everyone would be saying, "Oh wow, look!" You could even see that it's like glass. You could see the gradients and the light. It's amazing what this guy can do. But Dave Aiken sells for $100 or $200, and I'm not even saying go out and buy Dave Aiken's. I'm just saying as collectors. I know there are some. I know Chris, you're in the comments. I know there are some that buy based on the artist and based on the technical details. But for the most part, I think that some of us lie to ourselves, and really we're trying to grab that childhood still. We're trying to grab what we loved from when we were kids, and we feel a little better about ourselves when we say we're doing it for the art. It's definitely art, no question about it. We're buying this, not comic books, right? But it's feelings. That's what we're really buying. That's what I think. All right.
Well, that's and again, I love talking to you, Fish, because we always generate discussion. It's fantastic. Again, art in general is just designed to create emotion in other people, right? So I don't think we should dismiss the entire emotional context of a piece of art and the value assigned to that emotional context, just because the picture is pretty or not. That's just, again, that's how I feel.
I think we're agreeing, James, but I think you answered me before and now I think you're agreeing with me. You're talking about the emotion, and I'm agreeing. The emotion, 100%.
Yeah, but I'm not agreeing with the fact that you can look at a piece at a super technical level and make any specific buy-in or value discussions just based on technique alone. So maybe we are, but maybe we're just looking at it from two different directions.
Jeffrey, if you said my kid's drawing on the fridge is not valuable to you, but if my kid's drawing on the fridge, was a successful selling artist and worth a lot of money, then it might start being valuable to you. If other people were talking about it and there was a demand for it, I don't know. Anyways, I don't have the technical know-how to pick out great pieces other than, I can go find a famous X-Men cover or something. Of course, I did that last time. But it just felt like it was worth discussing. So I used my arts to grab a second topic. Sorry, Bill.
No, not at all.
Fish, if you find any famous X-Men covers, you call me first.
I call you second. I call my bank first.
But I'll tell you, I always like when I'm out shopping and where it's a thrift store or whatever, and I see something hanging on the wall. I do tend to look at art and try to think, was that originals or print? I'll go up and look at stuff all the time, not necessarily because I'm interested in buying it, but because I do like looking at art, and and most of the times when I'm in those situations, it ends up not being original or whatever. But I still like looking at art, even if it's just a deer walking through a forest, right? I just, I don't know. I'm still drawn to it. It doesn't matter what it is. I love going to the museum and seeing things that I would never thought I'd enjoy. But I get where you're coming from on that. And
it's funny though, Bill, when you go in a store and you see they have a painting on the wall and it's gorgeous, but but maybe you say to yourself, I'm not really an expert, and they're selling it for $45, so it's probably just some amateur. I'm not going to buy it. But if they had it on the wall for $45,000, you'd be going, oh my gosh, I wish I could have this. It evokes different feelings in you.
No, I completely get it. I know what you mean. And it's but at least the thing is, we're all looking. We're looking because we love art at the end of the day. So whether we can figure out why one is worth more than the other, we all appreciate art, or we wouldn't. We wouldn't all be here on this panel today or watching the show. So I get it. I totally get it. I've never seen a $45,000 piece of art hanging on a Goodwill store wall. Yeah, it could happen though. It could happen. I was a manager at a Goodwill for 3 years when I was in college, and I never saw any cool artwork come through at all. I can tell you that.
You convinced me, Fish. I'm flipping to comics. Fire sale tomorrow. Good picks, dude.
Listen, unfortunately, when I look at the pieces, I look at the piece and I go, what? I first look for that emotional reaction, and then I sheepishly and terrified, in a terrified manner, look at the price tag and then go, hopefully it's a $45 piece and not a $45,000 piece. But again, that's kind of I've been able to, at least view art. And that's the one thing I've been really grateful about since I've joined the comic art hobby, is just and has given me such a deeper appreciation of art in general, not just even original comic art, even just going and looking at other pieces, on Instagram or online, or if I go through a museum or just something, it's given me ability to kind of stop and pause and appreciate the arts on different levels, on deeper levels. Sorry, that was a bit of a tangent.
You're good.
No. We're here for tangents. We appreciate that. All right. Well, good picks, Fish. You get us talking. I love it. All right, Jay, or Jason. I'm sorry. I look at the name on the screen. It's Jason. I know you go by either one, but
I go by both.
All right. Well, you
unstoppable.
That's right. Exactly. So you get to take us on our third topic of the evening, and it's actually very timely, though. I know that when you picked this topic, it wasn't intentional. So
yeah, I mean, my topic is claim shows, right? And I was joking with you before that I picked this topic a while ago. James asked me to be on the show quite some time ago, but I was moving and everything, and so just wasn't able. And I'm going to be on Dueling Dealers tomorrow, so that's really more time than ever. But claim shows are relatively new to the hobby, right? And they're we all have Dueling Dealers and we love it. And I think a lot of what makes Dueling Dealers something different than your average claim show is the camaraderie of CAF and the way Phil makes it entertaining, and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it's still claiming art and buying it. And there's other claim shows out there. There's the other guys, deal makers, and there's Barucci has his show, and there's some different artists on Facebook, and reps doing claim shows on Facebook, and so on and so forth. And I've just kind of been thinking about it. I know FOMO has been talked about, and we talked about art drops, but the way that people buy art is evolving so quickly. I mean, just remember 2 years ago, you'd look at a piece of art on a dealer's site, you'd go research it, you'd go look up comps, you'd think about it, you'd see what else is available from other venues, and so on and so forth. Or if it's an auction, they give you a month to look at it and do all that same stuff to prepare how much you want to bid. With claim shows, you have 8 seconds to decide on whether you want to buy something, whether at that price right then and there, and not get beat by one of the other buyers. So it creates such a massive fear of missing out. My question, I guess, is really, do we think they're good for the hobby? Do we think they're bad for the hobby? Or what strategies do you have on it? For me, before we get into it, I have a threshold. Like, I have a certain number that I'll make a snap decision on a claim show. But if it goes beyond that certain threshold or certain dollar amount, I want to take some time about it. And if it goes, it goes. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Like, it's a brand new way to buy art. It seems so different from how it looked, 2 years ago.
Well, I was just going to say, you can thank COVID for it. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's what really got people going. I didn't even know what a claim sale was until COVID hit, and the antique store, in downtown Chardon was doing claim sales 3 times a week. And, I had no idea because I never followed any claim sales for comics or whatnot. So I think that we're seeing them come about primarily just because of, necessity more than anything. But now people are seeing that they can reach a broader audience. I think that, and I think that's been really great. I think it's been great for artists because they've been able to you look at Stuart Sager or whatnot. He has like 300 or 400 people watch him when he's just drawn, and he sells a few pieces. And I know he's not, he's a regular guy in the concert and everything, but he's got a good following. And I mean, if I was him and I was doing those sorts of things, I'd be thinking twice about going out to shows and stuff. So I think that this is just to me, as someone doing it, I think it's just it's an evolution of the hobby that I think it's going to keep kind of changing. And, I think as cons have to adapt to the reality of, people maybe not wanting to go to them as much, I think everybody's just going to start thinking differently about purchasing. But as far as your question about claims, I've never bought anything on a claim sale yet, so I can't comment on that. So I'll let everybody else comment on that part.
Well, I think there, are different methods for how some of the claim shows are done. One thing that I really appreciate, Bill, about Dueling Dealers is at least, you and Mike and Anthony will send out an email at least the day before and say, hey, today's show is going to have Bruce, Tim, Frank Miller, artist A, B, C, D. And at least we know, okay, these artists will be there. And like I said, there are other sometimes claim shows where it is, and even Nick Berucci does the same thing. If he'll give previews of the art to at least kind of, I kind of know what will be there, or at least a sense of what will be there. Sometimes there will be others that will, here's a piece of art, and then you kind of have to make that that FOMO decision, which has gotten me into some situations where how was it put? It was put actually. It was a great analogy used in our previous episode of one of the collectors said, it's like Doug from Up, and we have how Doug will go squirrel, and that's it. Even my friends have now stolen that analogy of sometimes other claim shows will create squirrels that will grab our attention very quickly, and sometimes we end up buying something within seconds. I also want to know what type of internet connection a lot of the people who end up beating me on some of these claim shows have, or who have been winning on on some of these artist drops, because I think I have a good internet connection, but apparently it is not good enough.
You need that direct connection to the servers like Bill's got.
I gotta find a way to get something like that.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate. I think Bill was right on point, where challenge and the growing opportunities breeding innovation, right? So I think claim shows is an evolution of that innovation, where people are looking to, of course, reach a broader audience, do the sales, and I get from a collector standpoint, there are a number of annoyances associated with, here's the art, buy it now. Here's the art, buy it now, and it comes back to a topic where once you get involved quite a bit in the hobby, for some of us, myself included, a lot of the prices become like poker chips, or you get desensitized on pricing. And so, can the claim shows perpetuate a lot of that desensitization, where you just kind of pay $2,000, pay $5,000, or pay $500 and drop of a hat? Sure. But I don't think they're going to stop. I think they're going to expand. I think the dealers and the artists and even us as collectors are going to find other ways to reach other audiences, that becoming more and more innovative, because if the money's there, as far as coming into the hobby, if the collectors are there with influx new collectors, it's just going to breed innovation to go out and try to sell more art in different ways. And I think the claim shows are the newest way, and I just don't see them going anywhere.
So Jay, I like what you said about comparing it to the auctions. In the auctions, I actually often go through, they say the cycle of acceptance, denial, anger, depression, bargaining, acceptance. It's true. Like you see that magazine that they send you from Heritage, you're like, oh, that's sweet. I want that. I'm going to make that mine. You watch the auction go on, the price goes astronomical. You're like, I guess I'm not going to make that mine. And you get angry about it. And you're like, well, what if I sell? Eventually you accept the fact that you're not making that yours. And by the time the auction ends, you knew it wasn't going to be yours. So you get to go through that whole phase. And at the end, you usually don't buy anything. Whereas in the claim sales, like you said, you have a split second decision. The pieces I bought from the claim sales have actually been pretty good prices. I find that when people are performing live, they want to be liked. So even Albert Moy, his prices were lower than his usual prices. Smiled. Because he wants to be liked. You don't want to come on these shows and look like an idiot and sell nothing. You look like an idiot. You go on there with 30 pieces, you sell no pieces, right? You look stupid. So they lower their prices, and I find that right now, as long as the art market keeps appreciating, if you buy something from one of these sales, usually, not always, but usually you're okay if you want to sell it. You could even make a profit. In fact, some of the pages I had to sell recently were a couple I bought from Dueling Dealers, and they both sold for big profits. So, usually I think that's okay. But taking this in a little bit of a tangent, Jay, excuse me for a second, a conversation that actually Rob Liefeld, started on Facebook the other day, just about, what's going on with the hobby. It used to be there were 3 or 4 big auctions a year, and then a few small ones. That there's like 12 big auctions a year. There's 55 or 75 small ones a year. I mean, every week Heritage, and then comic. There's claim sales every week. Dueling Dealers is great. It's crazy now. There's hundreds. Now, if this brings in new collectors and a lot of new collectors, it'll be fine. But if it's only a few new collectors and it's mostly just us, and there's just more and more and more sales, there's going to be burnout. Not yet. Maybe it's in a month, maybe it's in a year, maybe it's in 2 years, but there's going to be burnout. And I don't know if it's good for the hobby to have, all these sales every single week. But I think Dueling Dealers is special. I think it's really a lot of entertainment value. Bill does a great job, and the other guys are funny. And I just think it's different from the rest of the sales. When I watch Dueling Dealers, I don't watch it with the intention to buy something. It's a night. It's like watching a movie. And if I happen to buy something, then great. But yeah, there's so many claim sales, Jay. It's crazy.
Yeah, and as that you were mentioning, as more and more sales and everything happen, there could be a burnout, but then your supply and demand kind of corrects stuff, right? There'll start being less and less sales.
Right. I mean, for me, I agree. Because I had several people wanting to do claim shows with me before I figued out came up with the concept and everything for Dueling Dealers. I just didn't want to do it because I thought they were boring and they wouldn't be fun. I wouldn't be interested in doing them. I wouldn't have gotten anything out of doing it. And I even went into the show telling the guys I really didn't care if they sold anything because I just wanted to have a good time. And and I've been able to do that, and they've been able to sell. And I think, like you said, Fish, everybody does want to be liked. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, and that's one of the great things about what's happened since COVID is getting us all online and getting us out there. I mean, you want to be appreciated, and for those guys to be putting themselves out there, they want to sell. I mean. I think Anthony starts too high on his prices. Absolutely. Mike is kind of fickle, but I think his prices are fair, and they have their strategies on how they sell. And, and I've watched a few other ones as well, but I think by and large, those guys, they do it because they like being in front of the camera. I mean, Anthony, everybody knows that, right? I mean, Fish, and Jay, you've been around Anthony a while.
Two Anthony's, before the camera's on and after the camera's on. And if you never met the one before the camera's on, you're in for a big shock.
It's true. It's so true.
It is. And so they like their time in front of the camera. I mean, Mike, how often has Mike really done an art drop since Dueling Dealers started? He really prefers to sell everything in front of the camera. He's loving the attention, and why not? Because it's fun. He's a charismatic guy, and he enjoys getting in front of the camera. And I like getting to hang out with him a couple times a week. And I think that's why we have people tuning in. We all get to hang out and then sometimes buy art too. I saw a question earlier. Is the audience really growing? I don't know. I mean, when you bring in the right person, right? We had Albert on against Mike, and we had 450 people watching that live. I mean, I was sweating. I was so nervous during that show. But
more tomorrow, guys. Tell your friends. Over 450.
You'd be surprised. Like, you go to some YouTube channels where they've got thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers, and they don't rock in 200-300 simultaneous viewers for a live show.
No, it's rare. I mean, you watch Anthony. He's got a huge following, and he does his live shows, and he gets like 10 people watching it. I mean, Nick's, I don't know. I mean, I'm not putting anybody down. It's what we have is an aberration. CAF always was an aberration, and now doing these shows, it's not easy to do, to have that many people want to tune in to watch something. But I'm so happy. The thing is, for me, I'm just happy like Fish, like you said, you tune in not to necessarily buy something. You want to have a good time, and I think that's what I wanted out of this whole thing at the end of the day. And so I'm enjoying it for that reason. But I'm having fun doing other stuff like what I did with Mike yesterday. I thought that was pretty cool. James, we had talked about doing bin diving,
dumpster diving.
It's something to do on this show at some point. If I was ever over at Mike's house on a Sunday, so it finally got to do that. But yeah, I just think that it's going to continue to evolve. People are going to find a way to get creative, and just wait until somebody comes in to find a way to create a platform to let people do it and collect the sales at the same time. And no, that's not me. But you have to believe somebody's looking at this and saying, I'm going to find a way to evolve it and to make it be like really seamless and get people to use that platform to show that artwork and check out right after they commit to purchasing it. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. And then from there, who knows where things will go from there. But I think it's here to stay at the end of the day.
Well, even in the short time frame that it's been, to seeing the evolution, I mean, the way that the format that you've built, Bill, has been so good. And like I said, the way that you've used the graphics and the memes, and the way that even when you show, like, you know, when they're talking about the art, you actually show a really nice, you know, clean, crisp image of that art. So like you said, we have that, you know, we have that ability to clearly see kind of what, you know, what's there. And it's going to be really interesting to see, as you were saying, that how this is going to evolve. Because when you think about it, this is only, you know, for the comic art, it's only been about a year, you know, or a little over a year that this has gone from, you know, from inception to where we are now. So it will be, it's going to be very interesting to see how things evolve.
Hey, Jason, one aspect I want to address on your kind of original premise was, I think people, not to be cold, but people that get in trouble for overbuying art outside of claim shows will get in trouble for overbuying art on claim shows. I just don't see them instigating anything above and beyond. So that's just my thought on that.
No, I agree with you, James. I love them personally, but you know, like, I've had conversations with you, and I have a strategy. I have thresholds. You know, like, I have controls in place for it. That doesn't mean if the right thing pops up, those controls are going to get blown out of the doors. But for the
we
most part,
instigate each other. Yeah.
well, that's it too. You know, I held up the Wolverine piece I got from Moy, Aaron, and you and I were chatting about it. We were you were helping me look up publish while Moy was selling other art, and that's really, the topic wasn't a negative on claim shows. I think they're fantastic. I think it's a way to look at art and be active in. You know, we were talking earlier about how we stay active in the hobby when we're not just buying something every day, and I think claim shows are a way to do that. But I just wanted to discuss how everybody kind of thought it, because it is so new. It's brand new, and I remember myself. I used to look at a piece on a dealer site. It'd be 3 weeks before I made a decision if I was buying it. And now I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. Claim, you know, 15, you know, whatever it may be.
Famous words.
I just thought it was an interesting topic to talk about and see what other people's feelings were. And there's some great stuff in the comments. I mean, I think Sam Rojas said it. You're able to learn dealer speak, right? You're able to see how these dealers react and act and negotiate. And I think that's all important stuff when you're buying, you know, subjectively priced items like comic art.
Dealer speak. If it doesn't sell now, guys, it's going to sit on the site for months.
I will say there was only one purchase that I semi-regretted on a claim show. It just kind of didn't fit my collection, but I reached out to that amateur dueling dealer that sold it to me and worked out something and got a fantastic piece. And so I don't know who that dueling dealer was, but I would buy from him in the future.
Amateur dueling dealer.
On a Monday, like tomorrow.
Right. Well, you know, I'll tell you, that's because for me, I've hung out with dealers for a long time, and I've gotten to go, you know, to cons and get dealer badges and all that. So I've been since I've been on with CAF, I've done that, and so it's a side of the hobby that I've always really appreciated, and I can tell you that it went a long way to having me want to do dueling dealers, to actually get like Mike on camera in a selling mode, because I've watched him sell for years, and I know what it's like, and I would always just sit back and smile while I'd watch him working out a deal with a collector, you know, and doing that, you know, for hours on end at San Diego Comic-Con. And when I was thinking about it, I thought it'll be fun for people to get to see, you know, how he is. I haven't hung out as much with Anthony, although I've known him just as long, you know, but he's always at the other end of most halls. Anthony's never given me a dealer badge, so I've never been in his booth for that length of time. But that's all. I mean, I thought, you know, I think it is good. Dealers, there is a dealer speak, and there's a way to negotiate with dealers, and I think that, you know, maybe we've you know, done a good thing for everybody in that way, so they can actually feel like they can approach Mike and haggle, or Anthony and haggle. I mean, because like I've always told you, I don't haggle at all, but I think that you know, it's good for people to see that you can do that, and doing it in a live format is probably you know, maybe it's putting some dealers at a disadvantage, because now they know they're willing to haggle on certain prices.
Bill, I don't know if you got lucky or if you strategized who to pick for dueling dealers, but way before dueling dealers started, you know, when I got into the hobby, I mean, not that many years ago, but 5 years ago, you know, going to all the dealers and trying to buy pieces, you know, coming from comics or statues, I was used to haggling. And the only ones that would haggle with me were Mike and Anthony. And they were very nice about it too. They weren't upset. If Mike had a piece, he had a piece for 4,000. It was at San Diego Comic-Con in 2018 or 2018, I think. And I wanted it for 2,500, not because I wanted to use discount, it's because I thought he had it overpriced. And you know what? We went back and forth for like a day, and he sold it to me for 3,200. And he was happy to do so. He said, "You shook my hand, said good deal." And Anthony always haggles. I mean, these are guys who are willing to haggle, so they're perfect for that show, as opposed to some other dealers who, it's fine, it's their business, but their price is their price. You know, that's it. So the show, I think, really only worked. Obviously, there's all these other factors that made it work, but if it would have been anyone else, I don't know if it would have worked.
Especially
Right.
no cake, it would have failed.
I know there are people that watch just for the cake, but no, well, that was why I picked them too. You know, when I just had a good, I always felt like they would argue a lot more, because I know they, behind the scenes, they I mean, they like each other, but they don't like each other. And I thought there'd be a lot more, just angry banter, but it's turned out to not really be that way. I mean, Mike definitely wants to win all the time, and he gleefully does. Even though he tells Anthony in the green room after every show, it doesn't matter who won, Anthony, as long as we both sold. I always just feel, if I sell X number of pieces and then I've done, he says it all the time, and I'm just like, you liar. I know he just wants to destroy Anthony every week, and it's kind of part of the fun. But not to miss it. Somebody asked, when did we start doing the bricks commenting? That was actually during a Heritage recap, I believe. It was either Heritage or Comic.
It was a Spider-Man cover.
That's right. It was a Spider-Man cover.
Remember.
And it was something about it was a per brick price. How did it get to be that one? Yeah, because it was a very average Ramita Senior, I think, cover, but it had a lot of bricks on it, and so that was kind of where the joke started. So and Fish, you've got us on the thigh gap now. Thigh gap
that's Marcus. I mentioned it. Marcus has you on the thigh gap.
My favorite is still, when I got a bad case of harpies, but that's just.
Oh, that was such a bad show. But yeah, again, but so sure. So I don't think some claim shows will last at the end of the day, because they're not that fun. And I think that you'll see, once shows come back, some of those they won't be able to last. And some people would rather probably sell in front of people than doing it in that format. It's hard. I mean, Mike agonizes over the art he selects and things. So and Jason, you've done an amateur show, and you're doing a second one tomorrow. It's not easy to pick the art. It's not easy to price the art, and it's not easy to ship the art afterwards. So it's a lot of work.
Well,
we're having a shipping party next week. You're coming over, right?
No, you should just take it all to Anthony's. He's got a crew that can do it for you. He'd probably charge you a little bit, but that might be the way to do it now that you're a little bit closer to him, I think. But yeah, at any rate, we have a good time with it, and I'm glad everybody enjoys it. But I do want to keep mixing it up. I think having Albert on it was good for me to have somebody different in there that had the same kind of charisma, or had a different kind of charisma. All right, I get it. But he's a very placid guy. But I see, at any rate. Albert was fantastic on the show, and the thing is, and think about it, when we did the art drop for the Bruce Timm thing, I thought that worked out really well. I think we had 200 people watching that, and it was probably at least 60% of those people probably never watched anything that we'd ever done online before. So it's I'm still learning and rolling with it and trying to figure things out. But yeah, claim sales shows will definitely continue to have a place out there, and we'll be a part of it.
Especially tomorrow's. Tune in.
Tomorrow.
That's right. There is a $500 and under show tomorrow with Jason and Anthony. Yeah, that's going to be fun. And I predict it's going to be a sellout, everybody. I will, because and at the very least, Jason, if you don't sell out, I will probably buy anything that does not sell out of the set that you're bringing. And I would never say that. I've never said that on the show before, but everything that you've brought is great, and there is absolutely no way it doesn't all sell.
That's an endorsement, Jay. That's an endorsement.
You like some of that stuff, Bill.
I know, it was really good. Well, I will say I thought Albert was going to sell out too, and he did sell 18 of 19 pieces when he was on, but that was his fault. The one piece he changed at the end. So, but no, I do think that. And Anthony said, I don't know how Anthony does it. It's like he he brings the cheaper stuff and it's actually pretty good. And then when he's trying to compete at the higher dollar stuff, it's just not the same. You know, he brings a few romance things here or there, things that just aren't going to generate any interest whatsoever from our audience. But Heroes in Tights, if you bring Heroes in Tights, it will sell. So, and yeah, Jason, I think all of your art is Heroes in Tights. So there's no way.
Tight. Extra
A
tight.
lot of X-Men stuff. You X-Men fans out there that they don't bring it, we're gonna have.
Well, that's why I said I'll probably buy it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, holy mackerel! This is like this is my dream of a claim sale that I can't buy yet though. But it's perfect. So anyway, yeah. So there you go. So you get to do it again tomorrow. So let's see. So I don't think we don't need to talk anymore about claim sale shows, right? They will be around.
I really liked I just really liked the bin diving, or I like to call it the unbinning, because instead of unboxing, you're going through the binning. I thought that was so cool on Saturday. You were discovering it right along with us, and it was just a lot of excitement and a lot of fun. There were some really cool pieces that you and Mike discovered. It was a lot of fun. I'll tell you, the biggest problem ends up being that, because we'd never done it before. We just were saying, oh yeah, just shoot Mike an email and ask about something. Mike probably, at this hour has probably gotten about 75 emails, and with very few people making any offers either. So, and remember, Mike didn't have anything priced. It was all just digging it out. And like I say, he actually agonizes over the 19 pieces he brings to dueling dealers all the time. So he researches every piece. So then he's got 75 emails of people not, when we didn't ask anybody to make offers. So we're trying to rethink what we want to do, because that's a lot of like that X-Men FF wraparound piece by Lopresti. I think he probably had 20 people ask him about just that one piece. So and so so he was like, wow, this is great, but wow, this sucks. What am I going to do now? Because now he's got 50 pieces he has to try to price and then try to get them back in the right order to everybody who sent an inquiry. So it was a lot of fun, and we've been wanting to do it for a long time. I'm sure we were going to do it again, but we're going to have to at least put some thought into it before we do it again. I don't know really what that is yet, because we couldn't settle on, because we want it to be spontaneous, right? We want to be able to literally be looking at it for the first time, and not have but it can't be that dysfunctional at the end of the show where I don't know what he's going to do. He's probably going to email everybody back and say, can you make me an offer? I get an email or two from Mike this morning about that.
Is that what happened? Yeah, see, that's probably what happened. I haven't talked to him today. I just knew when I left his house, he had 50 emails, and I left like 30 minutes after the show ended. So I was like, well, boy, you're on your own.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, we'll do it again sometime. I'm sure it's just a question. We want to do it right. And because it's not fair. Because now it's like you have all these people who saw this art that they can't buy because Mike didn't have a price on it.
Yeah.
So we'll work it out.
It's evolving. It's all these claim style shows are just the evolution, and that's part of the excitement.
Yep. Agreed. All right, Jason. We'll see. We went all over the place with that topic, but very good. So, Matt, you get to show off your two artworks, and then James has some art to show too, I think, before the show is over. But here, let's get Matt's art up on the screen. Here we go.
All right. This is Batman 442, page 19, written by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, pencils by the amazing Jim Aparo, who's what would have been his 89th birthday was this week. And they also inks by Mike DiCarlo. This is from the gallery of Matt Moore. This is a very, very special piece for me. I love Jim Aparo's Batman. That is my Batman. This is actually from the very first issue of Batman that I ever bought. This is the first comic floppy that my dad ever bought me, and Jim's storytelling and his action was so good. But I think what he could do in the quiet moments and the conversation was equally impressive. And this is, of course, the moment that Tim Drake is convincing Bruce Wayne that there needs to be a Robin, and I just absolutely adore this page. I absolutely adore Jim's work, and this era of Batman is just is just my it's my comic DNA. So.
I mean, my comment on this one, like, I'm a Marvel guy almost all the way. I was searching on CAF. Oh man, Daryl, you're gonna hate this. I skip over a lot of the Batman stuff unless it's a DPS or cover. But just initial reaction. I mean, the scan's fantastic. The black and white contrast, I'd click on it. So I'm just bringing it back to a topic that you brought up. You scan some nice artwork in, and even us guys that have no connection to it will probably check it out.
Listen, he's just he's just the absolute. He's the absolute best for me. So
awesome.
Nope, I agree. And that's true, James. When you see a small thumbnail that's laid and it's laid out well, you almost always are going to click on it just to kind of get a feel for it. And because you could tell when I don't know, I feel like I can see a story in the shadows on stuff. If you saw the way that I curate, say, like the eBay auctions that get featured on CAF, I look at thumbnails as art, even when they're only like 200 pixels tall, and I can spot a piece of production art, a mile away now, and but I can also spot a really nicely done panel page, and when I think there's something really interesting there, I almost always click on it to see what the story may or may not be, even because that one there's no way you can tell there's no action on it if it's small. But it's laid out so well that, like you said, the darks and the lights, it just makes you want to see it. And Aparo was a master at storytelling. So,
and this is the very first Batman comic that I ever bought. Like I said, as I did not do a great job of keeping these comics in great condition, but this is a very, like I said, important. It's an important relic in my collector, my comic life.
I think
the cover fell off.
Yep.
I think talking head pages get a bad rap sometimes. We love the stories, so those should be some of the most important pages sometimes. I'm a big panel collector. James was digging around in my panels the other day, and everybody loves splashes and covers, but Fish was saying the nostalgia. This nostalgia is a story. So those talking head pages that really hit home, I love them. I'll take them all day for the stories that I keep. I was talking to our friend Dan Fleet, and he talks about filler pages a lot. And if the filler pages are from uncanny, I don't know, 175 to 300, send them my way. I'll take them. Those are the stories I love, and those filler pages are important. Those talking head pages are just as important as the splashes.
I have a lot of covers and splashes that I love, but my favorite page in my collection is this one. It's not a splash. I mean, it's a half splash maybe, but it's panels. Panels, by far my favorite page in my collection. If they were all worth the same amount, that would be the last one to go. Yeah, like you said, those are the ones that have the stories on them.
And flow to what you were talking about on the art when you were discussing art too, kind of the differentiation, Fish, where deers and woods, but when those people really collect the stories and the panel pages with the wording and everything, does that change that context at all?
I don't understand your question. Say it again.
Well, now we're not just looking at those people that buy the interior pages or buy the art pages that have the multiple panels and the word balloons. That's a differentiation from a deer in the woods or something like that, right?
No, but that goes to my point. My point, which again I know some people in the chat didn't like, and that's fine. We could all disagree, and I'm not even saying I'm right. It's just my opinion. My point is that most of the collectors that I've met after any sort of 5-minute or longer conversation were buying things that we love because we love the characters, because we love the story, and it's got nice art. But we're not buying it primarily because of the art. Because if it was the same level or higher of art, but not the topics that we have nostalgia for, we wouldn't be buying it, right? We're comic art collectors, not art collectors. There's a difference. I'm not saying comic art isn't art. It's absolutely art. I'm saying is there's a reason we're buying these pages and not just some other art. But so, yeah, I mean, the pages that have the story, exactly. That's exactly my point. It pulls us in with the emotion. Oh, I read that story. I love that story. I love those characters. I also happen to love Jim Starlin, who drew that. I love his art, but it's not like I'm sitting there analyzing Jim Starlin's art and saying, look at the technical details. That's why I bought this page. That's all my point. That's it.
That's a nice background behind you.
That's a
you've got 4 panels that you need to fill with more art. Right at your shoulder.
I have higher than this. There's more on top of this. It goes up. It doesn't go down.
Yowza. But you
Time
could
to go
if you
shop.
wanted.
No, I have a crooked camera, but yeah.
But that's what even like the quiet moments, like Heroes Unmasked is almost like an open secret theme of my collection. Like I love the scenes of Batman and Alfred in the cave when the cowl is pulled down, or Spider-Man on the roof when his mask is off. Or like I said, I just love because it's the combination of the humanity of the hero and the superhero-ness of the costume. So it's but yeah, I love the quiet panel pages. I think there's usually because it shows a vulnerability to the hero. Like I said, those scenes with Bruce Wayne and Alfred, or Peter and Mary Jane, or Cyclops and Jean Grey. Like I said, I love the quiet moments, because those are that's where the storytelling really the strength of the storytelling has to really show.
I agree.
Chris asked in the comments, if I'm just buying stuff from nostalgia, do I ever buy a new artist? And the answer is, yeah, I do, if I like the way it looks. Like, for instance, I stopped reading comics somewhere in the mid-90s. That's when I left to boarding school. And at that point, most of the comics I read were just rereading my old ones that reminded me of my childhood. Once in a while, a new series like Old Man Logan or something like that, Old Man Wolverine and World War Hulk, some of the bigger storylines I read, Civil War, but most of them not. So all the new art or any art from the last 15, 20 years, I don't know the stories from. So if I think it's beautiful, I'll still buy it. It can still give you nostalgia because it's that character that you love. But you know what? Those are the ones I sold, and the 40 pieces I sold. I sold the ones that were beautiful, but I had no nostalgia for. So yeah, I'll buy it, but they're not the forever keepers. Not for me, at least.
Makes sense.
And we got one other artwork here, and right there.
This is the cover to the Escapists, plural, issue 2. It's by James Jean. It's a beautiful piece from the cover from the gallery of Felix Liu. This is a book, that means a lot to me. When I was, if you're not familiar with it, it's kind of a quasi sort of sequel to The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. It's about a young comic creator who kind of ends up buying the rights to the character The Escapists as he's trying to create new Escapist comics. It's a wonderful story, and I love the way that this cover is composed, because it tells so much about the story. When I was younger, I took a chance, and I wrote and self-published my own comic book. And whenever I would have moments of crisis of faith, or not sure I'd be able to do this, I would turn to this graphic novel, The Escapists. And like I said, it's written by Brian K. Vaughan, and it was just something that means so much to me. And it's a wonderful story about loving and creating comics. So if you haven't read it, please check it out. It's kind of a hidden gem that Brian K. Vaughan, a lot of his has an amazing catalog, and it's not spoken about as much. But if you love comics, and it's something that I definitely recommend you take the time to read. It was something that, like I said, it's just wonderful. It's so wonderful. And like I said, I was able to self-publish my comic book, which was an amazing experience. And it was a book called Mystery Man, and I just this this book got me through. It got me through, and I said I love this cover just because it just summarizes so much of the story, because you see the creators and you see, of course, the escapist. So,
Well, you sold me, dude. I'll have to go check it out.
it's really good.
Yes, same here. I never read it, so all right.
It takes place mostly in Cleveland, so for the Ohio connection,
Just down the road from here.
yeah, down the road. So, but yeah, it's definitely a great book. It's a short read, and like I said, it's something you should definitely check out.
Bill, I'm from Cleveland. I was born in Cleveland. I lived there for a bunch of years.
You did not.
Yeah.
In downtown or?
Well, I
suburb?
was born in a suburb, but I went to boarding school in Wycliffe,
Wycliffe,
Ohio.
Dark
Yeah.
part of your soul from.
Yes, moved to
Wow.
Miami from Cleveland, so it's quite the change.
Just kidding. My mom's from Cleveland.
I know your mom. No, I'm just joking.
Man.
She says hi.
I was going to say that, but I'm.
But you're classier than I am.
You beat me to it. All right. Well, good picks there, Matt. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. And I know I had a mini art topic, but in the essence of Sunday nights and school nights tomorrow, we'll kind of avoid that. So I do have my art drop, Bill, if you don't mind. And it's something unless you're a Facebook friend, and I haven't put on caps. So for all the viewers, I got this on Friday. There you go.
That's awesome, man.
Sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
41 years old, first tattoo. What it means, I dropped a whole bunch of weight over COVID, in shape, and then I figured, why the hell not? Plus, it's Wolverine. I can't have Wolverine on flabby arms, so it's going to keep me motivated to keep working out.
Well, congratulations, man. That's great.
Appreciate it.
That's yeah. Well, you do have to get it on calf somehow, and put the name of the tattoo artist on there for you.
Yeah, I'll throw it up there. I'll put it on calf. It's pen and ink or mixed media. I don't know yet.
Yeah,
What was
what was that?
What was your topic, James?
Yeah, you got me curious too.
Yeah, from a topic perspective, it was like I said, a mini topic. So I got approached today by a person who runs the Clayton Crane Facebook like official fan page, and I didn't realize there was this whole artist dedicated communities out there. I'm not talking about like Neil Adams or Jim Lee's or stuff. I figured those were out there, but you'd be surprised by how many artists have these dedicated fan pages. And I was just curious if you guys are involved, if you see the artist interaction involved, if you see that's a way, do you get any value out of these things? So I jumped on it, and I was surprised. The official Clayton Crane fan page has almost 3,000 members, and they post like crazy. So it's just kind of this world that I didn't know existed on these dedicated fan websites or Facebook pages, and I was just going to kind of discuss a little bit. That was it.
I mean, I'm familiar with, like, Ken Lashley. I know has a really great Facebook page, and he's created a really really great community. And like I said, posting about, he posts his sketching, and he does art drops and other various forms of art, claims and stuff like that. That's probably the one I'm probably the most familiar with.
Is that a topic? That's awesome, man. Topic for another day. I don't know. Gotta wake up in the morning. Hey, but thanks everyone for jumping. I know it's Bill's line, but no, appreciate it.
No,
ending us.
Just act like I'm not here, James. Go ahead.
Sorry.
James is going like that.
Was it upside down?
Thank you very much for welcoming, guys. This was a really great experience. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. It was so cool.
No, it was a pleasure having you on the show, Matt. I mean, whenever you have another topic, let us know. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the show, we're not going to have one next Sunday because of the Labor Day holiday and whatnot. So we will be taking a week off. So, again, anybody that wants to hop on the show in 2 weeks, please shout out to myself or James. Yeah, we both kind of steer this ship a little bit. So we'll definitely get you on the schedule, and we'd love to, have new faces all the time. We like seeing Fish all the time, and James, and my mug on here, but new blood every now and again is good. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out, because we've got a lot. There's so much more to talk about in the hobby, and and never enough time. So
very true.
We'll coordinate shirts next time, Bill. We left you hanging.
Right. I mean, somebody told me to wear this, and I think Duke sent that message out, and I'm the only one that got it. So live and learn.
Jay, if you don't win tomorrow, we're going to change your nickname to the Stoppable JD. So you better win. Good luck.
Yeah, that should be fun tomorrow. But yeah, he will be difficult. But here, I'll just show my favorite meme that I've made so far for tomorrow. This is actually I made it for both guys. It's a win one for Jason, and it's a lose one for Anthony, just because I want to see it played twice during the show. So here it is.
Rolling, 3, 2.
Okay, I want a good clean fight. Nothing below the belt, nothing over $500. Now shake hands and make some deals. Hey. Break it up.
And actually, that wasn't my favorite one. That was doggone it. That was the second one. All right, hang on. Now I'm mad at myself. I got to get the right one in there. That was like the one that was okay.
Guys, don't leave. Don't leave.
Don't leave. Yeah, hang on 1 second. Son of a gun. Now I gotta
Miami, Florida, Alfredo, not Miami, Ohio.
That's right. All right, here it is. Oh man, I've got to find a way to extend that, to just have his head bouncing around for a little while and Jason laughing at him like that. It was too funny. You clocked him. You clocked him in that. That was good. And Fish, you were helping him out. I thought, you should have jumped in there and thrown a few at Anthony while you were there.
You should have seen the camera turned off, and Anthony was like, "You really got me in the eye. You got me in the eye." It was pretty funny. He really did clock him.
Just hold your fist up next time he charges you for shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I saw if you go back and watch it, Anthony's actually putting his fist right up on Jay's face, and then that's how you just had to do that to get him off. So it's like, pow, that was perfect. I'm gonna slow-mo that one. I think I'm gonna make a second one and just have it repeatedly, just punching him over and over and over. That should be your winning meme. That's what I should do. All right, so yes, we'll have a lot of fun. I hope you do win tomorrow. Anthony needs to lose one of these lower dollar shows, and you deserve to take him down. And so everybody tune in tomorrow at 9:00. It should be a lot of fun. But all right, I'm calling it. And listen, guys, thanks as always. And I hope everybody's a great weekend next weekend with the time off. But I've got 3 sales shows, so Monday and Wednesday and Saturday this coming week. So. And then we'll be off next Wednesday because I should have taken this Wednesday off with the Comic Link auction on Tuesday. I think everybody's gonna be broke after Tuesday. So, but we'll see how all that stuff goes. But again, thanks guys. It was a lot of fun, and everybody for tuning in. I always appreciate it, and we'll see you again soon.